right, guys, welcome. My name's Erica. I am here to talk about Ayurveda, India's traditional medicine system, and how some principles of Ayurveda could help you cope with stress during this kind of crazy time that we're living through. So I think more and more now conventional and Western medicine is realizing this connection between mind and body, right? So if the mind is stressed, that can cause physical symptoms to manifest in the body. Also, if you're not taking care of the body, that can aggravate the mind, right? And I think even we know taking care of the body involves a big mental component. So how many times do you know something's bad for your health and you do it anyway, or vice versa? You know it's good for you, but it's just you have trouble following through on it. So the mind, is a big part of how we cope with stress, and there are kind of two extremes. We call them the gunas, the mahagunas of the mind. One is rajas, rajas. The other is tamas, tamas. And rajas is activity, right? It's movement. Both are energies, but it's movement. It's more frenetic. Tamas, on the other hand, is inertia, right? It's slow and heavy, right? So both energies are necessary. Neither is good or bad. You see these energies all the time in ourselves and in nature, right? So winter is a pretty tamasic season. Things are dead and cold and frozen. Spring, on the other hand, really rajasic. You see the flowers coming up, you hear the birds chirping early in the morning, so things are, coming alive and becoming more active. Likewise, sleep, right? We wouldn't be able to sleep if it weren't for tamas. We wouldn't get back up in the morning if it weren't for rajas. These are necessary energies, but in times of stress, we might skew towards one side or the other, right? So kind of maybe a more rajasic stress response during this time would tend more towards mental and physical senses of panic, so you get the rapid heartbeat, the breath is up in the chest or in the head. You might feel a little spacey, you just can't concentrate on anything. That's definitely my dominant mode right now is rajas. So I'm, even though I know better, I know what I should do. Sometimes it's hard. So I do things it gets so in my head I forget to eat, or I'm having trouble sleeping. You might be experiencing some insomnia at this time, irritability. You might be frantically cleaning your house, something like that. That's all rajasic energy. And then on the other end of the spectrum, a tamasic response might be more anxiety, but not that frenetic anxiety, the anxiety where you just can't move. It's more like a paralysis of sorts. So you might be sleeping too much or at weird hours, napping during the day. You might be overeating, just comfort foods, you just need to feel grounded in some way. You might be having a sense of just heaviness in the body, or lethargy, a brain fog in the mind. Depression or grief, right, are tamasic states. And you might also be just vacillating between these two at any given moment on this Corona coaster we're all on. So Ayurveda helps us, one, understand and become aware of what's happening in the mind and the body, and gives us some tools to help bring us back into balance, right? This more sattvic state, right? So in Ayurveda, we balance states or qualities with diet, lifestyle choices that are opposing, right? That have the opposite qualities of what's happening. So if you are feeling rajasic, right, too frantic, you want to incorporate more grounding foods and activities in your life, right? I think routine is important for both, balancing the mind on either end of the spectrum. So doing things just like getting up and going to sleep at the same time every day, try to have your meals at the same time every day. If you're feeling more rajasic, you'll definitely want to incorporate heavier, more grounding foods like sweet flavors, sour, salty. Those are all pacifying for just the energy that's moving around at this time. Still easily digestible though. Well, shout out to Life Alive. I have a lot of friends who are using their like weekly meal plans, and they're lovely. So, some of those like grain bowls with the sweet potatoes and the carrots and other root vegetables are a really awesome thing to do if you're feeling anxious. Slower forms of movement might help, right? I know if you're a runner, you're probably just like hitting the pavement all the time now, but if you're feeling anxious, that might not be the best activity for you. So try maybe a slower form of yoga, or just taking a walk, kind of slowing it down. Meditation and breath work, alternate nostril breathing is a great technique, I think also for both tamas and rajas, to just help regulate the nervous system and your hormonal balance. What else? Oiling your feet at night can be super calming for the nervous system. So you can really use like any oil you have, sesame, olive oil. It's getting warmer out. Coconut oil might be nice. It's a cooling oil. But you just, give yourself a little foot massage for, 5-10 minutes before you go to bed. Throw an old pair of socks on so you don't ruin your sheets. And then the heaviness and the dense qualities of the oil help to like pull all that anxiety down through the body. It's literally just a grounding energy. And if you do that pretty consistently, you might see an improvement in the quality of your sleep. Yeah. So on the other end, some stuff you could do to balance out tamasic energy, like that heaviness and sluggishness and inertia. You're going to want to lighten up your meals, eating pungent, bitter, astringent stuff. So like all the bitter greens. Want to cook them though, right? Again, the Life Alive bowls are great if you aren't able to cook from home, right? You'll want to wake up before the sunrise, like 6 a.m. or even earlier, right? The later on into the morning, the more heavy qualities are in the environment, right? Think of like the dew that forms on the grass before like the hot sun of the noontime burns it off. So it's just like it's denser, it's moister those early hours. So you want to get up before all that starts to settle in the body. No napping. Sorry. The more you encourage those like lethargic practices, the deeper you're going to get sucked into the pit. Right? So you got to get up, you got to get moving, more vigorous forms of exercise for you. So maybe you do a little power yoga, or, take a brisk walk, or if you are, a runner, get out there and run. Kapalabhati breath, kind of the more like forceful breathing might be a good practice to clear out congestion and stagnant energy. As opposed to oiling, right? If you're feeling tamasic in the mind, heavier in the body, you might want to dry brush instead. That's going to be a more invigorating practice for you. So you just get a brush and you start from the bottom up. It's kind of like a lymphatic thing. You want to keep things moving towards the heart so they can drain. Let me check my time here. Actually, I don't even know what time it is. Oh, we got some time. Okay. If anyone has questions or like comments, feel free to drop something in the chat box. About Rajas or Tamas or anything, all things Ayurveda. Can chat about other stuff as well. Yeah. All right. Oh, and I should also say, if you do know a little bit about Ayurveda and the doshas, or the how the 5 elements combine to form doshas in the body and how they manifest in nature. Spring is a kapha season. It has a lot of earth and water qualities in it. And, sometimes we go through these like seasonal cleanses to clear out excess elements in the body to transition to a new season. And I was, just talking with a client this week, and she's following like a kapha pacifying springtime diet. So like lighter foods, those bitter greens, and she's, having some indigestion and lightheadedness. And it's because she doesn't have any kapha in her to get rid of, right? So they're not totally aligned, Rajas and Vata and Kapha and Tamas, but they share certain qualities. So if you are having like a really Vata aggravating time right now, that kind of Rajasic mind, you always want to, even though it's spring, you always want to treat how you're feeling that day in that moment. So if you are feeling lighter and anxious, switch up to something that maybe you would eat more in the fall, right? Those more grounding root vegetables, denser foods, so that and it's not like you achieve a state of balance and stay there. It's always like this fine tuning, and that's why things like yoga and meditation are so great, because you get to cultivate this sense of awareness of yourself, so that you're better able to realize how the body is communicating to you all the time, right? And then, you just learn a couple of tools to help bring you back into balance, like moment after moment, again and again. So that was my spiel about Ayurveda and stress in a nutshell. If you have other questions, you're interested in Ayurveda and these diet lifestyle practices, you can reach out to me at either my website, Erica with a K, Fritz with a Z, yoga.com, or I teach 7 public classes at Down Under Yoga, all virtual now, so location doesn't even matter. And I also see clients through Down Under as an Ayurvedic health counselor. So if you are having any issues at all, mind, body, soul, reach out, and we'll see if we can bring you back to balance. Yeah. All right. Be well.